Okay. Good evening, everybody. Today is our regular council meeting on September 19th, 2023. Reeve Jennings is not with us tonight, so I'll be doing the both meetings tonight. Reeve Jennings is tied up at the county tonight doing her county hat with the subcommittee that she works on there. So she'll be there late tonight doing that. So on a couple news notes, I guess you could say, coming up this Saturday too as well, we have the Mighty Machines event out at the airport, which was a huge success last year, and we're looking forward to lots of people coming out and knock on wood, really good weather. And another note too as well, I just wanted to commend our fire guys that were teamed up with the BD&E fire department, and a few of our new guys went up and they were able to learn on a mobile unit, basically how to help save lives with the smoke and everything else that goes through that. So a very good training opportunity that some of our news guys were able to take part of. And it's nice to see some of the fire departments in Lanark County working together in order to facilitate some of that training. So that's great. So the opening of the meeting, we'll start out with our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located, and this meeting is being held in the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Ashabi Nation. As we have our moment of silence, we did have an accident out on Rosedale in our township on one of our county roads here a couple of weeks ago that we had some losses of life. So as we talk about the safety of our roads and we think about the safety of our roads, we want to remember everybody to be safe as they can on those roads too as well. We have our moment of silence. Thank you. Great, thanks everyone. So the first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the regular meeting of council agenda dated September 19th, 2023 be approved as amended in this date, and to move item 8E from information item to action items. All in favor? Carried. If there's any disclosure of interest, you could say it now. We see none. The minutes of the previous meeting, so moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas that the minutes of the regular meeting of council September 5th, 2023 be approved as presented. All in favor? Agreed. Any business arising for those minutes? Anybody wants to chat about it? No, we're good for that too as well. We have no delegations tonight, but we do have a report from the municipal office of Steve Watts up to talk about our coverall fabric replacement.
Thank you, Chair. So the report before you is in regards to the coverall tarp replacement. Recently, during inspection, noticed a small tear on our tarp. We're hoping possibly we can make it through as it was planned to be replaced in 2024. Unfortunately, during a recent windstorm, it went from one end to the other with the tear. So staff explored some costing to replace this. So material, labor, everything included. The low cost was $34,220, including our HST. Staff reached out to multiple different firms on this, and the low bid at the one point actually withdrew theirs and added an additional cost and said that they would recommend going with Brightspan Buildings, who is the recommended award for this. So that's who staff is putting forward. These are now about a 20-year lifespan, is what they're saying. When it was installed in 2008, they expected about 15 years, so it was to a T on how long the life was on that. So staff's just looking for direction from council to proceed with this, and the turnaround is looking like about 4 to 6 weeks. Once it's completed, we will then complete stone dust. Putting it in the building that has to wait until that's completed. And funding wise, as this was not budgeted in 2023, it's believed there will be surplus in the budget for 2023, and in the event that there is not, we do have winter maintenance or winter supply reserve and additional reserves that are listed in there for building and stuff like that for special projects. So in the event there's no surplus, it will be funded from one of the reserves listed, and we will provide a report if that is the case. Any questions?
Thanks, Steve. I'll turn it over to any questions.
I think if it's something that needs to be done, we should do it sooner than wait too long so you can get a salt and stuff done. It's gotta be done.
It's torn, so it's gotta be fixed. Pictures actually show it, so.
Yeah, that was good.
I think that's pretty easy common sense. You have a hole in your roof, we fix it. So yeah, we're good to go. Good. All right.
Thanks,
Steve. Nice and quick and easy. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that staff be directed to proceed with the replacement of the coverall fabric in 2023, and that Brightspan Buildings be awarded the project for $34,220.87, including the non-recoverable HST. And further, that the project be funded from the 2023 budget or the Public Works Winter Reserve as approved by the Treasurer in the event of inadequate funds in the 2023 budget. All in favor? That is carried.
Well, duct tape.
Little duct tape. Steve will climb up there and put some duct tape up there for that. So let's say I'm pretty confident we're going to have some money left over in that part of that too as well. So I think we're in pretty good shape. So. Moving on to the committee of the whole minutes. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. The council approved the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of September 5th, 2023 and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor of that? That's carried. We have no petitions. We have no bylaws. So we do have, sorry, we do have 2 bylaws, right? Working my way through this. So we're doing the appointing of a deputy clerk that I'm sure Allison's going to just quickly talk about.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So as we had discussed at the last meeting that our deputy clerk would be going off on maternity leave. She is off currently. So we are appointing Grace Francis as deputy clerk this evening, and she will be taking on that role. And Alyssa Patterson is now taking on the administrative assistant role. We're excited to have Grace on as our deputy clerk and Alyssa up at the front. So.
Yeah, it's great. Any questions at all from council where that goes? I think great. We have, I mean, Grace is, you know, she's a great wealth of knowledge. It's continued to grow, and Alyssa's been a great student we've had. That's going to be a nice asset for us, I think, for the year. So once again, we have a great staff, and when we need a little bit of help, we seem to make sure we replace some really good people. So it's great. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas. Bylaw 4012-2023 being a bylaw to appoint a deputy clerk be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this 19th day, September 2023. All in favor? Our next one is the Drummond Development Agreement. Is am I talking about that? Okay.
I
don't think we need to either. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. So if there's any questions from council with what they read from it, everything else, if there's any questions for Kirsten, all I don't think so. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I think we're good. All right. Thanks, Kirsten.
If she didn't red flag, nothing, we're okay.
So I'd say it's good. So we'll move that by Councillor Abbas and second by Councillor Crabtree. You guys seem to be moving and seconding everything today, so that's good. 4013-2023 being a bylaw to authorize execution of development agreement with Katie Marie Drummond, the owner of lands legally described as part of Lot 3, Concession A, the Township of Montague, County of Lanark, designated as Part 1 on 27R-12-111. Be read a first, second, and third time, passed, sealed, signed, sealed this 19th day of September 2023. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Kirsten. So there's no motions or notice of motions, no correspondence at all. We have, yes, for information items. Yeah, for information items. So basically, this is the town of Bracebridge to talk about for the Freedom of Information Act. You want to touch on that a little bit with the time frames and everything? That's the biggest issues.
Yeah, sure. So this basically is a request stating that the timeframes that are listed on our FIPA, depending on the request that's received from the municipality, it's difficult based on the amount of staff, especially a municipality our size, that has limited staff and we still have to do our day-to-day jobs and functions. That those timeframes are not always reasonable. An example is an MFIPA request that we received here with all documents back to 1942. So that took substantial time to complete, and you have to meet the timeframes. And we can really only charge a very small amount for that amount of work that we have to do. So I think if we're looking to, you know, request and also deal with those frivolous and vexatious requests that are unreasonable in some cases. It's not about us not wanting to be open and transparent and all those things. That's what we are thriving to do here. It's just more so timeframes and some of the requests that are received to kind of have them look at that because it can be very time consuming on small municipalities that have very small staff already.
Yeah, I think you pretty well nailed it. That's the biggest thing is that I mean, our staff have, you know, a lot of demands of what they need to do right now as it is. And I think we do a very good job here at making sure we're open and transparent. But it can eat up a lot of time. And I know in my time on council, there's been times where staff have really been eaten up with a few of them. And some of them being frivolous, but it took up that time. And then we as council members say, well, why are we not further along with this? And it's because of this taking up so much time. So I'm not going to read this because it's very long. Everybody's read it, but we're basically supporting it too as well. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that we are in favor of, and we're going to support it and send out a representative to as well. In favor? Thank you. I'm going to bring up a quick thing in the unfinished or other business, just real quick. It's one of those things that, so our new play structure and playground and basketball court, everything is fantastic there. But one of the issues that I've noticed that I've had a couple of conversations with people is that there seems to be a little bit of a puddle that wants to be underneath the basketball net. Quick chat with Steve, just saying like, you know, what would be our best form of sort of trying to rectify that, because to replace that, we're not going to do that. We can't, the company won't do it because they'll say that wasn't part of the tech specs. Moving the basketball net could be kind of expensive, but an option that Steve gave that would be a pretty good one is literally just to drill a small hole where that puddle is, and it'll help it now. It could over time like speed up the breaking down of underneath there, but it gets rid of that water thing. And I'll speak as a guy that likes to play basketball too as well. That nothing more frustrating when you show up to the basketball court and there'd be a water puddle right underneath the basketball net. So I think if everybody's game for that, if they put a little hole in that, we just want to make sure that
under the cement, is there gravel? Gravel and then cement, and then you'll be fine then, because I've seen them have to do it with furnaces before and water was dead and there's no trouble.
that's good. Okay, if we're all good with that. That's a kind of a staff direction thing, just to say that it's good. Okay, we're on the same board. We're good. Okay, good.
You already put the hole.
Yeah. Good question. We waited until we got approval first. Sorry. Oh yeah, sorry. Is there any questions at all from the public at all? None there, none in the World Wide Web. We got none. Okay, we're good. All right. So moved by Councillor Crabtree, second by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4014-2023, a bylaw to confirm the procedures of council at its regular meeting held on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 19th day of September. All in favor? That's carried. And moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council adjourned the regular meeting of September 19th, 2023 at 6:15 p.m. Until October 3rd, 2023 at 6 o'clock or at the call of the chair. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone. We'll just take a minute just to do a switch over to our committee meeting. You said that's good. Welcome back, everyone, to our committee of the whole meeting. So we'll have the opening of the meeting and the adoption of the agenda. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas at the committee of the whole agenda dated September 19th, 2023. Be approved as presented. All in favor? Carried. Next is our land acknowledgement. So the council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and his meeting is being held on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin and Shawnee Nation. Any disclosures of interests? Speaking now, we got none, we got no delegations. But we do have a report of municipal officers and it's a quick administrator talking about our budget timeframes.
Thank you, Chair. So presented this evening is kind of a guide on a time frame for the budget. So we as staff are currently working on budget as far as for the 2024 year. Our municipal grants have been posted probably for several months already, and it closes at the end of November. The September, so as I said, we're starting to work. So department heads have received their budget. They will provide them back to me by the end of the month. October, any kind of changes, we'll sit down together, we'll review, look at the financial impact on the tax levy. November, I do plan to have a first draft posted on the website, social, and to council at least 2 weeks prior to our meeting of November 21st. With that, obviously, it'll be similar to any other time. We'll have discussions, changes, those types of things. We'll receive public comment from the time it's posted until December, whenever it comes back for the second draft to committee. December, it may get passed or it may be January. So right now I have kind of a January timeframe, depending. Our water and sewer tends to be a little delayed because we wait for the town of Smith Falls to pass theirs based on our agreement on the water rates. Keeping in mind that budget this year, the assessments are staying the same. They've frozen them again until the end of 2024, the province has. The growth as far as new builds is substantially down this year, I think, in most municipalities. So we may not have that same growth that we've had in the previous years. And we do still have restraints and inflation happening. So we're looking at right now a reasonable increase, but it's not going to be a 0% that will be presented to council. So that's just a FYI now. So that's kind of, again, this is not set in stone. This is just a preliminary kind of, this is best case scenario. This is what we're looking at for budget, because I think it was very beneficial this year that budget was passed. Department heads were really good at getting those RFPs out, pricing in. Our projects were, most of our capital projects were done by July or very early on in the year. So we got good pricing. Projects were done during good weather, seasonal weather, and has now prepared us that we have time to get back into our budget discussions and people to have holidays as well.
Thank you, Ali. Any questions from council as far as, I mean, you know, speaking with other representatives around too as well. I mean, like these are going to be tough budgets coming up, as we know the world we live in within the way the costing is going, and so the expectation to do. Even talking with Kirk in the county, Kirk's even made a comment saying he says he thinks this will be the toughest budget that he's ever had to do since being at the county too as well. So I think there's a lot of pressures that are being felt in the municipalities and the counties and everything else. So I think we're lucky to have a good staff that's working very diligently and making sure that they have the best thoughts for our taxpayers as they go through that process. But we also recognize how it could be a little bit. It's going to be a tricky one too as well. And I think exactly what Ali says, like a 0% is really not even possible even to talk about, and that's also because there's no like the impact freezing those rates to evolve, where sometimes we're going to see a little bit of that growth happens, and we haven't had that building too as well. So it's It's gonna be a challenging one in order to make sure that we continue to maintain the services and also try to keep the flow low. So it's I think it's good for people to be prepared, but I think we also have a great group that is prepared to tackle that too as well. So thanks, Ellie, for that. That's great information to us as well. So we have it really laid out. We know we're prepared and we're getting ready for it. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. The council approved the 2024 budget timeline as presented this date. All in favor? Carried. Next one is the environmental impact study that we had just done in the 22 acres beside school.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the environmental impact study we had completed on the 22 acres. So based on the mapping, it was recommended from our junior planner that if it was another individual or ratepayer that owned that property and we're planning on developing, we would require an EIS. So we should be no different and follow suit. So we had the EIS completed on the properties. It probably would have been beneficial that this was done prior to the REC plan back a couple of years ago, but we've done it nonetheless. And it's great information. We have it now so that there will be no issues moving forward as far as any kind of development. It will change what our plans kind of were for the property as far as the back portion of the property. So the front field portion of the 22 acres, basically throughout the whole document on any of the property, there's no issues with endangered species or things like that or habitat of those. But the front portion of the field, they're saying all good to go for what was planned, which is where the washrooms, the potential hard or outdoor surface would be, the sliding hill we've discussed, the volleyball courts, the parking lot, all those things, no issues. The issues are kind of falling more in the section of the middle portion of the property where the walking trail was intended to be on the recreational plan. Still not an issue with doing a walking path. Recommended that we would have a piece of equipment in there during frozen ground time though, because there's some wet areas, and that we would potentially need some boardwalk style walking paths similar to some of the county trails, the Mill of Kintail, all those other areas. Still no issues, just might be more cost out of our parkland fees than we had maybe potentially anticipated moving forward. The back portion of the property is where I think it was on a future plan for a dog park and a multi-use like field, like soccer field / rugby, whatever the case is. They're saying the ground wouldn't be suitable for that type of use. So really not a whole lot of changes on what we had discussed, just kind of shifting some plans kind of, but we're still going to move forward on getting the pricing for the parking lot, getting potentially that material made into a sliding hill, looking at the volleyball court, those things. We're still going to look at that pricing. We do have those parkland fees that we have to use for those purposes. I just thought it was important for council to receive this and accept it so that they know moving forward that some of our plans or some of our reshifting of things is because of the environmental impact study, but it was very important that we had it done and completed just as we would request from any of our other ratepayers.
And it would also give us that, like, if we put something there and then it sank or something like that, things were working, then it would be a bit of a waste too as well. So it helps us kind of in the long term.
Yeah.
To sort of make sure that we're doing it appropriately. So to say, and also our recreation plan is it's a working document too as well. Like it's the idea is there is to make sure it's going to help us as we move forward too as well. So it's we always knew we were going to make manipulations to it as we go. So that's good. So any questions from council for that? Pretty straightforward. And thanks Kirsten for doing that too as well. I think we agree. I think that was the right decision to do it, and that's what we would do. So we'll move that by Councillor Abbas and second by Councillor Crabtree that council accepts the environmental impact study for 22 acres as presented this date, and the council directs staff to follow the recommendations in the environmental impact study for the 22 acres for development of the land. So all in favor? That's carried. The next one, I'll get to stay for the whole time with the municipal complex update.
Thank you, council. So our agendas are relatively light this evening, but we are trust me, we are doing things in the background. So we do have the municipal complex. So that's the fire public works building that RFP was approved to move forward with phase 1, 2, and 3 with CKA. And I have attached the report from that meeting. So we have met with CKA virtually and in person to discuss our needs. So basically what type of equipment we have. They've asked for sizing, measurements, tire pressures, basically everything you can think of. So that they understand what exactly we're looking for in a building for the complex. So we have met with them in person for a draft 1 drawing layout. Now staff is looking at having something that's we've gone over, we all agree with, to bring to council. So there are a number of things that when we met with them, I think it was very clear that we made it that we don't need a Taj Mahal. We need a very basic building, no fancy outside, just steel cladding, no landscaping that's going to be a pain in the what to plow around and do everything else. So very basic as far as that. We don't need any kind of stone, brick, we don't want a flat roof. We want a pitched roof. We took out unnecessary interior costs as well. So there was some large change rooms included that everyone agreed we don't need those. The individual lockers, we don't need them. Reduce the kitchen size to just a kitchenette style. And a small lunchroom for public works. We reduced the number of washrooms because there was an abundance that we didn't feel we needed. So we are trying to do those things, understanding what our budget and what the township's ability is to pay for a new building. So we're trying to do that work to bring a reasonable layout to council. With that, they are going to provide a Class D estimate so that I'll be able to kind of put together some numbers for council. So we have an idea. Obviously, Class D is still far out from a Class A, but it'll still give us an idea. So we are working on that in the background as far as trying to get that put together so that, first of all, it doesn't drag out because we have a new fire truck coming in 2025. And we want to be reasonable and we don't want a document coming to the public that we think is unreasonable. So we're trying to do all that in the background so that whenever it comes forward, we've kind of done a lot of those cuts already, kind of similar to budget, to be honest.
It makes our job easier or harder at the same time. So that's a good thing. So I'd say I think this is great. We're moving. Once again, we're taking those next steps moving forward. I know personally I appreciate making sure that we're not adding unneeded things, but we're also making sure we're cognizant that we need this building like in 25 years from now and things have grown. Are we going to have space to make sure that we are accommodating for that as we go? Because this will be a building that hopefully will outlive us all. So yeah, I think that's these are great points of what you're putting in. When you're looking at the bathrooms too as well, are you looking at like sort of a male and female bathroom, or just like a couple different just them all like their own units?
Yeah, so
see nowadays, right? Like where they going forward with everything. So
that's where a lot of the changes were, is that they had like a female change room and a great big male change room. We said, I don't think we need these big change rooms and then showers were separate with separate toilets. We said, like, do one shower unit. Doesn't matter if it's male or female, it's a separate unit. So it's not like it has to be that divide. And then the washrooms, was there 8 in the building, I think? And we thought that was kind of excessive. And we're thinking long-term as well. But it was an overabundance. So whenever we did a lot of the changing, it just made more sense. And even the architect was like, oh yeah, absolutely, that works if that's what you're looking for. So it's just to have that more mindset of not necessarily this great big change room, it's more like individual stalls. Because we're also thinking emergency management side, that if people need to come and use, right? So we're looking more from like some of the gyms that you go to, that it's like a small change room, like you close the door, it's a small change room, and then your shower. So it's one unit. So that's more what we were looking for, was to accommodate anyone. But that also thinking from an emergency management perspective, if we need to welcome the public in to utilize some of those things, that they have individual spaces as opposed to a big change room with 3 open showers, right? So that's kind of where we've been looking.
That's good. Any comments at all?
No, I was just gonna bring up the same thing, and it was, as long as we got enough room. If some people had to come into like whether it be a change room or a kitchen, I know you're cutting back a bit in the kitchen, you said that, but you still want to have enough room that if, 30 people from the township come in a rainstorm or ice storm, that we have room.
So I can speak to that.
Yeah.
So we cut back on the size of the kitchen, but the training room is right off the kitchen. And that's why we cut back. We said we don't need this great big kitchen space with a big dining room table when the training room's attached. So most of the time, if you're gonna have a group like that, you're gonna eat in the training, you can eat in the training room. You don't need this great big kitchen as far as that goes. And we have the big kitchen at Rosedale, right? So, which we now have the generator there to accommodate people as well. So that was more the thought process, was that you're not going to have a whole bunch of people probably sitting in a kitchen that's not in, they can't do that in the training room.
The training room is going to be like the dining room. Kind of
Basically, it's like us here, right? This is where we have lunch. So that's kind of more where we were looking, is that I don't think we need to have these two great big sectored off rooms moving forward. So it's still gonna have a kitchenette style, like similar to this, but just not this great big kitchen with a great, I think the dining room sat like 12 people. So we just felt that the training room would accommodate that.
It might be many years where we have 12 public works guys, but I know we have the fire end that's good. Yeah, for sure. That's great. Any other questions? That's good. Okay. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Amass. The council accepts the municipal complex updates. This information all in favor. And the last thing on our list, I guess, is the asset management plan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So asset management plan was one of my couple items, I believe, but it takes all the department heads to work on this together for all the assets in the municipality. So again, we're doing this in the background with PSD, and it's been moving along really well. So again, it just takes time. We're having virtual meetings. They want a lot of information from us as far as road needs, building assessments, bylaws, traffic counts, reviewing data for accuracy, because our previous didn't have all the accurate information. So we've done workshops with them on level of service, best practices, current practices, those types of things. So we will be having public consultation sessions shortly, probably, but again, we'll be posting well in advance before hosting them to discuss kind of what level of service we're looking for, what that means on a taxpayer level. Because I know most people want their road paved, but do they understand what that means as far as an increase in taxes? So those type of things. So we are working on that in the background as well to have it approved early next year for the new asset management plan. They've already been on site and done all building assessments to advise on that. So they had taken our previous building assessment, I think it was from 18 maybe or 19, and they were impressed with what we've already done in this building with the new windows. We advised that there's new doors coming, those types of things. So they noticed some of the new stuff that had been done. They did comment on the poor condition of public works. We don't have it back yet, but you guys will see it as well whenever we get access to it too. So those types of things have been happening in the background too, which also take time to ensure that we have a document that's accurate moving forward, that we can use on an annual basis to update and use really as a good guideline.
Yeah, I mean, it's the asset management is very important for us to make sure that we're budgeting properly. And I mean, I've heard of some municipalities that do not have it, or counties that do not have it, that very good action or a very good asset management plan, and there's some scrambling going on in those places. So it's great that we can update it even better than what we had before. And I think it's not a surprise that we're going to get something back about the public works building saying, this is why we're going down, but the previous thing that we just discussed too as well, right? So I mean, it's telling us what we kind of knew from before, and we're moving forward with that kind of stuff. So it's allowing us to do it probably in the most economical fashion that we possibly can. So that's great work, Ali. Any questions at all from council? Straightforward as far as that goes, but that's great. So I have moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. The council accepts the asset management plan update as information. All in favor? Great. We don't have any reports of committees, petitions, motions, notice of motions. The only thing I was going to say about a couple things I was going to say about the unfinished business and other business too as well. I think Ali was alluding to that too as well. I think we want to make sure that that support is felt from the council side of it too as well. It's like, yes, this feels like a light meeting, and yeah, we're going to be done in pretty good time tonight. But a lot of that is because we're discussing things that are like utmost important, and it take a lot of our staff's time. So yes, we may have a light council meeting tonight, but we're talking about budgets. We're talking about what we're going through with the asset management and our building structures. There's a lot that is going on as far as the staff is doing in order to make sure that our township continues to run the way it is. And I'd like to say that it's running really well right now. So I think that's a big point. I mean, Ali also alluded to as well, like, you know, how efficient everything was done earlier in the year with our budgeting too as well. And Steve was able to get in with a lot of the tendering and has gotten ahead of the game, and we're right on track for that stuff because we're not scrambling. So like, these are all really important things, and there is a lot going on with the staff, and I will attest to that too as well as we have conversation with the staff of what they're working on and what they're doing, and they're doing a very good job at making sure that we're staying ahead of the game, because if we're having long and arbitrary meetings that take 6 or 7 hours, or sometimes it take 3 or 4 we've had in the past, it shows that we're trying to get caught up. And right now I think it shows that we're running it very efficiently. So I think that's fantastic. And on the note of efficiency too as well, we received something, sorry, I'm just going to look this up real quick, don't have the email. As far as our finances and everything goes to as well. And this letter was sent to Ali, but Ali will quickly make sure that she also points out all of the help that she gets from her great staff too as well, to make sure that she can submit these things. So this is thing that's called a FIR report, which is the Financial Information Returns Award. And what that means is that is submitting all of the finances and information that, to the ministry, so they can and they check for accuracy and make sure that it's right. We have to go through our budgeting. We have to go make sure our audit is done in order to do that, and we get that back. And we were one of the top 15 winners. And remember, there's 444 municipalities out there. We're one of the top 15 municipalities. They have that done, accurately done, and back, and one of the first ones to do it. And Ali was informing me earlier today that there's only 267 out of the 444 have actually submitted that stuff, and it was due May 31st. So, like, if you have any question if things are running well in our municipality, I mean, that being in that top 15 just shows that we are having everything out and everything is done early and on time and even early. We're being recognized by it too as well. And it also shows, I don't want to throw other municipalities under the bus, but the amount that are not even there yet. So I think it's a kudos to Ali. Obviously, it starts from the top with their leadership there, but the staff also making sure that they give all that information to her too as well, so that she can submit all that stuff and get these accolades, which is we should be very proud of our township for getting this accolade. This is a very big one in my opinion. It just shows you know, how on time we are, how accurate we are, how transparent we are. And we should be very proud of that. And if you want to say anything to that, I'd be very happy.
Thank you. I know, I appreciate that, Jeff. And like you said, I'm one person. I know it's sent to me, but all of my department heads, everybody has to have their invoices in for me to do year end. Our auditor also has to do their part. And we have an excellent auditor who got it done quickly as well. So it's a whole, and we have to have a council that allows us to do our jobs as well. So we're a whole team. It's a team thing, and it really should be just directed to the township of Montague because it's all of us together. So I do appreciate that, and I just want to say that again, it's everyone, it's all of us as a team that should be responsible for that. And yeah, I think we were top 5 out of 444 municipalities to get it in. So kudos to Montague. Yeah.
Certainly make their job a lot easier with staff like we have. Besides,
It does. Yeah.
easier.
So I think the pride there for where as council members, like, you know, to say what we have and the way that our township is, And I hope the residents feel that too as well, that there should be a sense of pride that, you know, mistakes happen, things go wrong. There's, you know, we don't always have things that the way we want things. There's a lot of things that go with that too as well. And we're very cognizant of that too as well. And I think we want to hear those, things too as well. I know Ali does too as well. And so does Steve, so does all the staff. They want to hear those things so that we can make it better and we can do our best. But I think that's, you know, it's great also to see that work and that dedication is also really evident in what we have. So thanks for that. All right. On that one, I guess my last one is, do we have any questions at all? Any questions from the public at all? Online or from the audience? We have none. We have none. We have done very quick meeting tonight. So I don't think anybody wants to continue rambling. So that's good. So at the end of that, we'll move this by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. And the committee of the whole meeting for September 19th, 2023 now be adjourned at 6:42 p.m. All in favor? That is carried. Thanks again, everyone, for everything, and we'll see you everybody again in 2 weeks.